Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. First of all, people are coming in slowly, but let's get started because I know you're busy, have your kids to look after, and especially the husband to look after.
The husband, that's the biggest thing.
It's a hard work. Yeah, I know. So thanks for taking the time to talking to us. I mean, this is something that is completely different than all the stuff that I've been talking about. Especially we, very macho. We punch, we kick, we bite people.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna move into something completely different, which is on a more spiritual side, a more, what's it called inwards instead of just looking on the outward side of it, if you like.
Yeah.
But then again, this is something that I'm talking about, but I'm absolutely scared to death because I have no idea, completely unrelated to my area. So I will do my best in shutting my mouth and let you talk. So
but not be scared.
Yeah,
nothing to be scared of.
I'm in a big swimming pool here and I don't know how to swim properly. That's more or less what I'm feeling now. But the point is, what we normally ask people is this, for them to talk about something regarding, the background, regarding, stuff, whatever you want to talk about, especially in terms of training in life and so on. Because I know you're English, but you live abroad for a while, and then you're back in the UK again. If you want to go talk a little bit about that, and then eventually going to the Akashic Reiki and all the healing.
Okay. So yeah, I'm English, and I was an actress. I trained as an actress. I went to drama school when I was 18, but that was my absolute passion. Nothing else existed. And then I worked as an actress up until my, probably mid-30s, and then started getting quite frustrated, I think, with it. For many different reasons. I wasn't getting roles that I wanted, but also there was a part of me that I wasn't really fulfilled. And then I met my husband and I had my kids, and I was living in America then. I was living in America, met my husband in America. We came back here and had two babies. And then we went back and lived in America. And by that time, once I had the children, I decided I wanted to stop acting because for me, I mean, this is absolutely different for a lot of other people I know, but for me, I felt like I wanted to focus on the kids, and acting was a profession that is very, one has to be quite selfish. It's a selfish pursuit. You have to be to succeed. So, and I didn't want to do that. Something completely shifted in me when I had the children, and I just didn't want to focus on me. I wanted to focus on them. And then when they got a little bit older, after I'd gone through the baby brain, that is a real thing, the whole baby brain, I'm sure Marissa feels that. The point, I think when my youngest was about 3, when I got back to, I knew that in me, I had always been an empath, I guess, and a healer. But I had never fully connected with it. And so now it felt like this was the time. I basically didn't have any other choice. And I trained as a Reiki master, and very quickly started getting clients and started working in this space in LA, which was this wonderful metaphysical shop. And I had lots of clients and surrounded by lots of other healers. And when I was doing the Reiki, I felt like quite often I would go into a kind of different dimension. And I would feel things when I was working on people and get images. And then, so Reiki, sorry, I'm assuming that everyone knows what Reiki is. Reiki is an energy healing. You work on freeing energy around the body, so freeing chakras up if there are any energetic blockages within people, to create a steady, healthy flow of energy around the body, which it then promotes physical health. If your energy body is healthy, it really promotes physical, mental health, and is incredibly important. I think one of my life missions now is to make people aware of their energy bodies and how important it is to tune into what energy is, and how the energy, outside energy, how we know how sometimes if you meet someone you don't you don't vibe with, vibe being vibration, you feel you're not on the same vibration. It's nothing to do with that person. They might be perfectly nice, but it just doesn't fit with you. So it's the same, that our bodies absorb this energy. So we need to clear that energy and start understanding it, and to maintain absolute spiritual, physical, and energetic health. So from doing my Reiki, I then started looking into the Akashic records. So I had heard the word Akashic many years before and felt that it was very much, it was something that I was going to do, even though I had no idea what it meant. It felt very familiar to me, and I thought it was kind of weird. I had a moment of thinking, oh, I'm going to do that one day, and then forgot about it. And then suddenly it became everywhere in my life. And it was like the most obvious thing that I would train to be an Akashic reader. And actually, subsequently, I've learned that the records, people access the Akashic records through different ways. So I've learned to do it through a pathway prayer, which is the words, it's all about vibration, but I'll go into that in a minute. And another way people do it through hypnosis, or also people do it through Reiki as well, which I didn't know when I was doing the Reiki. And it's just like you basically go into just a different dimension. Like sleeping is a different dimension. Your subconscious is a different dimension. We have like memory. You could say our memory brain is a slightly different dimension. People that are really good at maths or music, it's just like that. It's just slightly different dimensions. So I access it through the pathway prayer.
Right.
So yeah, now I'm talking about the Akashic.
No worries, no worries. So let me try to explain this. If I've heard this before, I mean, I came across Reiki many years ago before I moved to the UK. We're talking about, let's put at least 30 years ago. Okay, right. When I had a friend of mine who had a motorcycle crash, he broke a leg, and this leg wasn't healing, and for many reasons. Then eventually one day, you know, they brought this couple, which was actually a couple. And then I remember walking past these people. They were both there with their hands over their leg, and they were, you know, like in some kind of a trance-like state. And I found this the weirdest thing ever. But then again, that was my mindset at the time, very narrow, you know, seeing things through the keyhole, not the open mind, if you like it. So that was like, what is this? Oh no, we are trying to heal using the energy and blah 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 blah. So there was a very brief explanation. But then, of course, you know, I was again a very macho martial art guy. If I cannot deal with punch and kicks, I cannot deal with at all, you know. That was my mindset back then. So the thing, many years later, I came across Reiki again, and then I started reading books, and then I read the books from, Graham Hancock, that you're very good friends with. Yeah. And then I thought, oh, hold on a second, that's more. And of course, I guess when you become older, you start seeing things from a different point of view and understanding. And, you know, instead of fighting your ideas that someone gave it to you back in the day as a kid, growing up with parents and friends and so on, you start exploring a little bit more and seeing things from a different point of view. So can you just show us a little bit more about Reiki? Can you explain a bit more Reiki and how does that work, in case people never heard it before?
Yeah, absolutely. So Reiki is, it comes from Japan, and it means, it's a Japanese word that means universal, it's universal light. So when you're attuned to being a Reiki healer, you're just being attuned to channeling the universal light, the omnipotent light that is everywhere. You are tuned to channel it. Right. Into someone. So you, as the healer, you're not doing anything. You are just being an open channel. So the person that your client, they're not getting any of your energy. You're not getting their energy. You are channeling, right, the light energy. So, and people, it works in the sense that when I was talking about energy, so when we're living our lives, when we come up against things that go wrong, and when we get really, when we're troubled and stuff, our body absorbs on an energetic level. Right. And so we have a chakra system in our body, and chakra is basically wheels that will turn the energy around. So we have the 7 chakras. You have the root chakra, the sacral chakra, your solar plexus chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye, and your crown chakra.
Right.
And when they work, when they're in flow, when the wheels, when your chakras are healthy and flow and turning without any blockages, your energy body flows. And so if you're it can heal in that sense, because your chakras, so those are the main 7 chakras, but you also have lots of other chakras on a meridian system, which is what the Chinese medicine, acupuncture, they all work on the meridian system, and it's all connected. So that system is all connected. Like on the meridian system, your lower calf connects to your lungs, your like different parts of you connect to different things. So Reiki is like a much more gentle way of healing. It's not at all invasive, and it's purely done through channeling the light force. Right. So Joe, when you said that when you first heard about it, you were like, what's that? What on earth is that? And it felt really like that can't be doing anything. It is a two-way thing. So the person that you're working on, the client, they need to be open to it, because if you're not open to it, you're creating a block in itself. Yeah. So if you're not open to it, it's really not going to do anything. There has to be a level of belief and openness for things to shift. Yeah. That's true. And it really is quite extraordinary. You can work, you can work on someone and feel, so say someone's had a lot of heartbreak in their life, a lot of grief, their heart chakra can be blocked. So you can feel that when I'm working with someone, I can feel that their heart chakra is blocked. So I can put a lot of energy into their heart. And then quite often people will start crying, like almost uncontrollably. Sometimes it's like you just shift an energy. And then afterwards, the sense of well-being and of letting go of something within their life can be quite extraordinary. It can cause big life shifts. Well, okay, and it's kind of on a subconscious level, because that person might have come to me not necessarily knowing that they had all this pain stuck here. They wouldn't necessarily know. They might come saying, I've got neck ache, can you, and they don't want anyone to be invasive on them, so they think, oh, I'm going to try energy healing. But actually, because then we've shifted the block on their heart chakra, then their neck starts feeling better, because all that pain's going, and you've let the energy start flowing. So it's started to flow steadily and smoothly around your body again. It's phenomenal stuff. I mean, we live in a society where it's like time is money, these expressions where you go from meeting to meeting from time to time. We have time to do many things, but not so much to look after ourselves in a more internal level, if you like. And as you said, we are absorbing all this information. You're trying to produce because you need to work, you need to pay your bills, and you put aside many emotions and many things. And of course, at one stage, that's going to pop and that's going to explode. And then and you have people taking other kind of drugs to control the anxiety and things like that. When in reality, maybe not taking the drugs, but having something like this in order to find what is the problem, and then perhaps will be a much easier way to treat it, especially in the long term. Yeah, because like you said, I mean, we're programmed to look outside of ourselves for help, and not to go inside. We're definitely, we're definitely led to believe that we're not able to, that we need outside things to heal ourselves. Right. And actually, I believe a lot that we can do a lot of healing ourselves. We can go into ourselves and heal ourselves, but we're just not, our society, we're just not shifting, I think. Well, perhaps the corona is going to bring the shift. Perhaps now is the time. Maybe, you never know. How interesting. And the connection between Reiki and the Akashic records, is there any major connection there? Or? So, well, that's a very good segue, because it's the Akashic is very much about going inwards rather than looking outwards for resolving life issues. Right. Again, resolving blockages that seem if you seem to have financial problems, if you seem to have relationship problems, or if something's happening to you that you don't feel like is connected to this life now, you feel like there's something going on that doesn't really feel a part of you, then that going into the records can really help shed light on that. And where the similarity as well, I think now, and this is how the training I had, the woman that devised the training I had, how she says, and I firmly believe this, society is now in a place where we need to take responsibility for our own spirituality. We need to be spiritually mature and not spoon-fed, where it used to be like 100 years ago. If I was talking like this about the Akashic records, I would probably be stoned or so. I mean, it would be like sacrilege. It would just, only spiritual leaders could go into the records, and it was very much between smoke and mirrors. But there's now been such a shift where the necessity for everyone, for us to connect to ourselves and realize that we have this resource, that like the Akashic records is an extraordinary resource that is available for everyone, and everyone can read themselves. Wow. You know, it's like and it's something that we just don't know about.
Wow.
So you
no, go on, carry on. Sorry, it's a bit slow. Yeah, okay.
So I'll explain how it works. So it got like so if a client came to me wanting a reading, the most beneficial way that they will get the benefit out of it, if they have a question about an area of their life that they really want to delve into and figure out what is going on with it. And the question needs to be quite specific, because the Akashics are this mass. It's Akasha means it's a Sanskrit word for ether, or primal substance, that out of which all things are formed. And it's such a finesse substance that the slightest vibration is imprinted on it, in it. So it's all about energy and vibration. So when you talk about the records, it's not like written records, it's about vibration. So what you're doing when we go into it on the pathway prayer, we're connecting to that vibration on an energetic level. So I would go into the records, and then the client will ask their question, because again, because it's all about vibration, the spoken word is very important, because the energy travels on the spoken word.
Right.
So even though we're connecting to the client's masters, teachers, and loved ones, even though they will know what's going on for the person, they need to know what the person's connection to these events are, what's vibrating with them. Because then again, similar to Reiki, I just channel the messages, and they need to know what help it is that the client needs.
Wow.
Because it would be it really wouldn't be helpful to then to just like go, well, okay, so I've missed something here. So I have to say, this is very important. There needs to be an acceptance of reincarnation for going into the records. It's like there really is. If you want to explore it and go, there needs to be an acceptance of that, which I firmly believe in, because we go into past lives. We go into past lives where the past life experiences affecting this life, and so there has to be an acceptance of past life.
Phenomenal.
So if someone came with a problem and I just like channeled different things from different lives and just spoke, and just like that, it would just be this massive information that wouldn't really mean anything. It wouldn't be helpful to the problem at hand, and it could just cause more confusion. So there needs to be it needs to be specific, and then and also the client needs to be ready to hear what's gonna be revealed, I guess.
What are the most common questions that people ask? Because that's something common, and everybody has some, a question about it. Can you tell what comes up most of the time?
relationship issues, if people can't find what their like soul partner, if people seem to, yeah, if they're always having bad relationships and never find the one, so that's a big question. Health issues, if people are ill, wanting to know why they're what they're meant to be learning from that illness.
Right.
Career things, a lot of the time, if people are unhappy in careers, they're wanting, so there's a frustration, so wanting to know. Then also, as I kind of touched on before, if something's happening in someone's life and they feel that it isn't, it doesn't feel like it's a part of them, so it feels like it's come from a past life, so then they will say, can you look into a past life? So as a practitioner as well, I will only really do look into past lives or ask to see something in the past if the client requests it.
Wow.
Unless I go into their records and it showed immediately, because I think, especially if I'm reading for someone for the first time, because it's quite a difficult, I don't know, it's quite a huge concept to grasp. And so if you don't want to, like, some people don't want to know, some people just are like,
I guess there's a lot of the fear sometimes. I want to know, but at the same time, you know, I'm not sure what the answer will be, and if I'm prepared for that. That's a lot of that also.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's why actually the sessions that we do, because when I first did it, I was like, that seems not such a short time, but really we do them in 20 minutes or 40 minutes sections. And the 20 minutes, if we're deep into something, that's really one question, then of course it'll go for half an hour, and the 40-minute will go for an hour if we're deep into something. But sometimes there's enough information in 15 minutes. Wow. And if you give any more, it's too much. I've had clients like that when I've kind of gone, my goodness, I've only been going 15 minutes. Do you want some more? And they're like, no, that's fine. I've got enough to think about. I'm like, yeah. And then other times it just is, it's much harder. And you don't hear things, and quite often that's because the client just isn't, they're not ready, or they're not asking the right questions. Like I've had people ask me things, and then what I've heard, what I hear is the masters, teachers, loved ones saying they don't want to ask you that question, they want to ask you another question. You've got to find the question that they want to ask, because the person doesn't even, sometimes people are scared to ask the question they want to ask. Wow. So there's a process within that.
How interesting is that? So if we have to find something to relate in something that we know, we have some kind of a grasp of knowledge.
Oh, I lost you.
Yeah, if you're thinking about what the internet, okay, we have the pictures that are stored in a cloud somewhere. We don't know what that cloud is. Of course, there is a scientific explanation with a technical one, but the point is, it's up there somewhere. So we could say that this can be connected to that. Is a way of saying that the knowledge is stored somewhere up there, as you said, around the ether and all that. And anyone has a computer, can access this information and bring it down. Is that correct? I know we lost you there. I'm not sure if I can see you. I can see Maxim now, which is not exactly like Anna is. Yeah, hold on. Let me see what happened here.
She is mute. On mute.
Let me find out here. Anna, can you hear me?
Here we go.
Is the
can you hear me now?
Oh, there you're back. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I got muted somehow. Sorry.
Okay. No.
Thank you.
Good one. My question was, let me just repeat that one. We can connect with something that we are more used to, which is the fact, for example, the internet, where you put all the pictures, all the information, your music, and it goes somewhere in a cloud, as we know it, and gets stored there. Once you have a computer, you can connect, and all of a sudden you can download this information. So would you compare them there's some kind of similarity between this two Akashic records?
Yeah, so it's the same, except it's on a vibrational level. So it's not like stored like as in, well, no, though images as well, because I see images. So it's stored in images as well, but it's vibrational. And the same it works in exactly the same way that if you type in one word into Google and then you get absolutely every single bit of information possible about that, it's too much.
Okay.
Whereas that's why you need you have to be, the more specific your question is to Google, the more specific your answer will be and the more helpful it will be.
I understand. So, and when you mention that anyone can tap into this and be able to connect, what I see sometimes, some people are more sensitive, some people, you know, as you mentioned, the musicians, the mathematicians, people that can have, you know, the feelings are very different. But, you know, I'm not sure, would I be able to do something like that? Because I'm perhaps not.
Yes, I mean, you can, you know, you absolutely can. What I would say is, like, I go into my records all the time, but I would still, if I had like a crisis going on or something that I really wanted, I would go to someone, another practitioner that I know, to do a reading, because I think sometimes that to have that spaces can be much more subjective, and it's just, that's easier. But how I trained, this woman called Linda Howe has written this series of books, and if in those books she lays out the pathway prayer, she lays out how to do it, so you can, because like I said before, this idea of us reaching spiritual maturity and taking responsibility for our own spirituality to cause a universal shift is hugely important. So she felt she has laid it out very clearly in these books. So it is absolutely open for people to do that.
Fantastic. One of the things we were discussing the other day is that in the UK is not well known as the US, or perhaps LA, if you like it, because we can divide the US and LA, so two different places. So what do you see? This is coming this way? Is something that you're going to be seeing? Because I think you're the only one that I know in the whole UK here that is actually doing this.
No, there are people here. It's not no, it's not as big as it was in LA. There are quite a few. Yeah, there are quite a few in LA, but still there are people that didn't know. I mean, constantly I had clients that are just like, oh, I've heard of it. What is it? What, you know, so it's still very new because of the reason, like I said to you, because for so long, it was only spiritual leaders, and it was like kept for the few, which I feel it was part of the kind of controlling, because of the internet. It's, you know, it's much more open and it's much more available. So I think no, I think it will become more popular. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I think as a nation, we're probably more skeptical than Americans. So I think there will definitely be healthy skepticism. I don't, you know, it's a very, I mean, it's an unusual concept. When I first started training, even though I absolutely knew without a shadow of doubt, this is what I was meant to be doing. When I first started doing it, I was like, well, how do I know? How do I know? How do I know that's not just me and it's not just my interpretation? And this is like, how can I tell? And my teacher, she was brilliant. This is when in one of my first like things, she said to me, well, ask the records. She's, because I was like, I don't want them to, I don't want to get feelings, because if I get feelings, I'm going to think that's Anna's feeling. I'm not going to, you know. And she said, well, how do you want to receive it? And I was like, well, I want images. I want clear images. And she said, well, go into your records and say to them, this is what's troubling you. You want images. And I did. And from then on, I got images. So I was like, I've got goosebumps now, actually, even doing that, saying that. I'm like, okay. And then, you know, there's certain things. So for me, what happened was certain things I would be reading for people, and I would just, I wouldn't even say that I knew things. I would just channel stuff that I, as Anna, don't have a clue about, or I wouldn't know about them. I just wouldn't know. And so stuff would like, and I'm not, and this is like, and there's a big difference between it to going to see a psychic or a medium or anything like that, because I'm not, I mean, maybe I'm an empath. I'm definitely an empath, but I'm not a medium. And so that's why I believe that anyone you can do it. If you if you find the way to go into it, so like I said with the pathway prayer or for Reiki with me, you shift into a different zone of being, and it's because of that dimension that you start being able to channel, you know.
Fantastic
I would
stuff.
say, because I wouldn't, if so we connect to your masters, teachers and loved ones,
Right.
because I think unless people have questions now that they want to ask, I can explain what the masters, teachers and loved ones are.
So guys, you're listening. If you have a question, now's the time to unmute your microphone and send them over.
Hi, Anna. It's Maxim. Just a quick question.
Hello.
If you were to look into my past lives, for example, and discover that in a past life I was the black belt in Krav Maga, does it mean that Joe would have to grade me immediately to black belt?
Yeah. So next question, anybody? Anyone with a real question out there? I remember this one, Maxim.
But no, but actually though, Joe, because you, I mean, I just, even though I know you a bit, I know it was funny, but it's like, no, because the lessons you have to learn in this life are the lessons you have to learn in this life.
You see, Maxim, there's no escaping for training. You have to go back and train more, see?
Yeah.
Even the record is saying, it's not Joe.
Absolutely.
There we go. Right, anyway.
Fair enough.
Yes, very good. The reason we are talking here today, because we, Anna, you there? Where are you?
Yep, I'm here. I'm
okay.
here. I can hear you. Yep.
We had a session. We talked about it. You went through the records and you came back with some information. Of course, for a couple of days, my mind was completely, in pieces. It took me a few days to recover from that because there was a lot of information. It was very interesting. You also have the same thing done with my wife. Different approach. Was very interesting also to find out a bit. So and how prepared are people to change? Because it's the same story. I had a business coach. I worked with NLP and stuff like that. And the first question is, how much are you willing to change? How much are you willing to to improve? And everybody goes, yeah, we're gonna do 100%. But then all of a sudden they get hit in the face with the truth or with a fact or something they don't agree. And all of a sudden there's a bit of a hesitation. People step back and go like, oh no, this is not real. Let me go and find something else because I didn't like the truth. I would rather go and find something that makes me feel better. How do you see this? There's a lot of this?
Yeah, I think that it definitely happens. And so as the practitioner, you have to have you're not connected to the result.
Right.
Because again, I just constantly have to not get emotionally involved and just think I'm just channeling. And if the client is ready to hear it, they'll hear it. If they aren't, they aren't. And that's part of their journey. It's not, I can't take that personally anyway. And if they want to blame me or say they don't believe it, then that's fine, because that's part of their journey. And it's not like my life's mission to convince people that the Akashic records are real. I want to serve people and help. And to me, this is like, if they don't want to hear that now, then they're not ready to hear it. I think what happens quite often with the records is people can do that, and then 2 or 3 months down the line, something I've said resonates, or they see something and they remember our conversation, and then they start going, oh, hang on a minute, that now this, I can, this, A to B to C or whatever, that now starts to make sense.
So that's saying that once you're ready, or your master will appear.
And it's very true. And it's also why sometimes I'll go into someone's records and I'll see very little, and it'll just be because they're not ready. They're not ready to hear what the question that they're asking, or the area they want to go into. They're not ready, or they won't want to hear what, even the records will do that. And the records are it's quite funny. They have quite they can be very blunt, what the messages and stuff you hear. And for me, it's where I always hear through my left side. I always hear through this side, always. And I get the information through this side, and they can be really blunt. They can be very funny. Sometimes they can say, I can get things and I think, God, I can't say that. So I'm like madly trying to think, how do I like reword that and stuff. So, but I think you're right. And I also think sometimes it takes a number of times for people to hear the same things until they realize it. And that's why we get into patterns. We think we want to make ourselves believe that that isn't why, but if we don't work through that problem, we'll just continually come up against that problem again and again and again until we work through it. And either that means, you know, that can take us through to another life as well.
Wow. And do you see that perhaps one session would not be enough? So people going through more regularly, how often people normally go through sessions like that, or what would be the recommended, if you like? I
don't recommend at all, because I think everyone's different and depending where they are, but I have clients that maybe it's not really weekly with the Akashic. I haven't had, I don't really have weekly clients. Maybe the most is probably 3 weeks. I have someone who I probably read for every month. I have a few clients that I probably read for every month. Maybe I'd say 3 or 4 weeks. And then sometimes every 6 months, like one, and then just kind of checking in again. Or I'll do like 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 sessions quite close together, and then not another one for 6 months.
Okay.
6 months.
So if you, ideally, would you go face to face with the person, or would you be able to use the internet or something like we are doing here?
You can definitely use Zoom.
Interesting.
A lot of my peers in America, they just do Zoom ones. I didn't. For me, it took a bit of getting used to doing it on Zoom, because I like that it was important for me to be in proximity with the person, but actually it works just as well. And you can just do phone readings as well, so you don't even have to see the person.
How interesting that.
Do that as well.
One of the things you mentioned earlier, that you know, sometimes you meet a person and you have that immediate contact, and you feel like, oh, I feel that I know you for a long time because I can talk about things. That is a connection. And some other times you meet people and you go like, ooh, for some reason, you know, things are not, the words are not coming through, the things you're saying I'm not liking, and vice versa, and then the contact does disappear, I'm never going to see you again. We see this a lot when we're teaching, you know, self-defense, because at the end of the day, you're there with someone that's trying to punch you in the face, and you're trying to convince the person that you can teach them how to defend against it. So it becomes very physical, very quick. Some people then, you know, I normally, when I teach them, I say, look, let's have one session first. This is the trial session to see if you like me, to see if I like you. Yeah. Because it's not the money behind this, because there's no point of you paying me if I don't like you. I'm not going to do a great job, and we're going to end up hurting one another. So if there is a connection, then we can sort it out how we're going to do this. And I had people working for the last 14 years, 15 years with private lessons with me. You know what I mean? So even though it was like one here, one every day, and you know, once every month, 2 months, but still the connection was there. And some others more often, but it's a very interesting, and some will go away and come back after a while. So I guess you have exactly the same thing there. There is some kind of a connection that could be very tight or perhaps loose, but the connection is there.
Absolutely.
I find
and probably the same like Krav Maga. It's very important who you go to. I think especially with any form of energy work, there has to be a connection with the person. And again, it's like, as the practitioner, you just go, that's fine. This is like, it's life. Some people either gel with you or they don't. And also with the records, I always have a kind of disclaimer within whenever I'm doing a reading, of saying if within the first 10 minutes it's not what the person was expecting, or they just don't gel with me or whatever, then we just stop the session after 10 minutes and they get them, you know, then it's just done, and that's fine, because
this is a very, very personal, and for you to open up with someone else, perhaps someone you never met, that kind of a tricky one. But at the same time, you have that side of, you know, we see the police officer with the hat, or the doctor with the white overall and the, you know, the stethoscope. There is automatically a respect. Okay, this person is there in that position, therefore we trust. Like, you don't get on a plane and ask the pilot, how you doing? Do you actually know how to fly this thing? You're not drunk today? No, you okay? So how's the family? Everybody all right? So people just sit there and they fly, and that's the end of it. So you have to trust it. But it's a very interesting one. Regarding the connection between the Reiki, we're talking about the Akashic records. What is we talk about the most common question that people ask you all the time. And you said that people come every now and then. They might have more often sessions with you. They can do it via the phone, via the internet. They can do the face-to-face one. Which one do you prefer the most? You already mentioned that I think you prefer the face-to-face one, because I think you can have more contact.
I think face-to-face, but the more Zoom ones I'm doing, it's really not that different.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
It really, because once you get, I don't know, once it starts, it is the same. And also I can record the sessions on Zoom and send the recording. So
let me go back one click here. Back in, the same time when I had this friend of mine who broke the leg and had the Reiki practitioners, if you like it, looking after her. I had another friend of mine, his father used to do the Kabbalah. But back in the day, I had no idea what the heck Kabbalah was. And he also was a mix between Kabbalah and numerology. So in other words, he would get your name, and then the consonant had one number, the vowels had another number. He will add all of them at the end and then give you a number. Your number is whatever. And then he will talk about you as if this guy knew you, you know what I mean? And it's like, what? How'd you know this? No, because this is it. This is how you are, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, he had another side, which was absolutely crazy. We walk into his place one day. It was just a desk and a chair and a phone. What happened to the furniture? Oh no, I had this dream last night that this snake came out of the furniture and he looked at me and said something. So when I woke up in the morning, I put all the furniture outside in the garden and I set it on fire. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. What was that? You set the furniture on fire. And then his wife used to look from far away and just shrug like this. You know, it's him. And he was the kind of guy in a very different level, like, you know, from having money one day, next day giving everything away, and then
right.
You know, the money will come from a lottery ticket that he bought. You know, someone gave him the money, and he bought a ticket, and he win again, and all of a sudden he was back on top. He was a very strange and very awkward for my understanding back in the day. But now I know exactly what happened and how it happened. But is there any connection between anything with numerology, Kabbalah? They are all some different sciences, or all these ended up going back in the same box, if you like?
I think so. I mean, with Kabbalah, that definitely the Akashic records are mentioned in Kabbalistic texts.
And, really? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And in Judaism, it's mentioned in, and it's a Sanskrit word, Akasha. So it's mentioned in very different. It's mentioned in I think probably every single ancient scripts. It's like a known thing. It's just mentioned. It's just like called different things, and it's very similar. I mean, so why I do the records. So this is my understanding of it. Is that so? The point of reading someone is they come with a question. We work through what is behind the question, the causes and conditions. We keep on going deeper and deeper. So the client has to be open to working deeper and deeper until ultimately to find their soul's purpose.
Right.
So it's about finding your soul's purpose, becoming one with your soul to then be in your physical physical being that you are, that your soul is in the Akasha. So to have that, to have the awareness of your soul, but in this physical being. And so Kabbalistic, you know, Kabbalah is a system of, you can take the religion almost out of it. It's the system of living. It's a system of how you want to live your life. And it's about awareness and how you are. So it's all about shifting your consciousness and trying to connect to your higher consciousness and awareness for the greater good of mankind and humanity. That's what it's all.
We are very, I mean, look at us as human beings, okay? We came from nowhere, millions of years, billions of years before us. And then we live here for 70, 80, 90 years. And then we go away again. We don't know where we're going. But we believe that whatever we do in this small little period of time is the correct way. That's your way, that you're going to leave some kind of a, I don't know, some legacy behind, which is, I don't know if that's right. So looking at all this tells me that there is something way bigger than this little space of time that we live in our planet here. Is that correct? We can say that?
I believe that, and that's why I was saying about the belief in reincarnation, because it's like going back. If you have past lives, you're going to have future lives. So the other thing with the records, you can people want to, it's like everything in your past, present and future is imprinted, but also bearing in mind that the future is constantly changing, because we have freedom of choice, so we make different choices, so the future has to constantly be changing. And it's I'm going to come back to your question. I'm just going to say, so it wouldn't be worthwhile. It's not like I wouldn't, if someone came to me and said, am I going to win the lottery in 6 months time? I wouldn't hear any, I wouldn't be able to tell them anything, because one thing, time isn't linear within the records. And for me to say to someone, yeah, you're going to win the lottery, then they probably wouldn't take the steps they needed to take to win the lottery, and so they'd make the wrong choices, and it wouldn't happen. Because again, using a cliche, it's the journey, you know, it's the journey, not the destination, that is important. And that's what raises our awareness and connection to ourselves. So not just to be given something on a plate is just not, it just isn't how it works. So that, to me, absolutely is not how the records works. If there's something, if the small, we're like this tiny minuscule thing within a much bigger picture, I absolutely think. And I think with the reincarnation, it's like we make a pact with our masters. So we connect to the masters, teachers and loved ones, and our masters are with us from the conception of our soul. So they get together with our soul at the beginning of each lifetime and work out what it is that the lessons we need to learn, and what we want to achieve, and what awareness we want to come to. And then our masters are with us, so they will bring in the teachers. And masters have never been physical beings, they're light beings.
Wow.
And the same with the teachers, so they will bring in the teachers to help us.
Phenomenal stuff, isn't it? It's phenomenal stuff. One of the things that you know, we were going back a little bit on that, people need to be open to this kind of a thing to be able to accept it. Because as I said, it's like trying to teach someone something when they don't want to learn. It's like teaching the kids, as you have been homeschooling yours and mine here. It's very tricky to do that. So you have to find other ways of breaking through and eventually reaching the goal there. We see this with the hypnosis. People talk about hypnosis, and I had this question back in many years ago. How does that work? Is some kind of thing you say and the guy goes into some, you know, different dimension, different gear? It's a big deep relaxation state of mind, where then you can focus, you can channel, you can get things moving in a slightly different way. So you always find amazing that you can combine all these together. So, you know, the more people
hypnosis is going into your subconscious, that you're going into your subconscious. So you're going to a different dimension, and you're like programming your subconscious to become your conscious. Yeah.
And what people talk about is when you talk about, you know, the altering your mind, trying to go into a different plane. The majority of people relate it to drinking alcohol, which is a very cheap drug these days. So you get drunk, you are in a different mindset, in a different level. As I said, it's not you, it's somewhere else there. Some people behave very nicely because they are nice. Some others turn into monsters because they are monsters. You know, that's my point of view, at least. The alcohol just, you know, opened the door pretty much. Would you see the same thing with the records? Would records bring something that is different than the person that you're actually showing? That's my face, and all of a sudden you go, no, but behind that face, Joe, there's something very different. Would that bring also from the records? We'll be able to tell things like that.
I think, I don't know, then I would look at it like that, because I think you would, because I think, I don't know, I think everyone's trying to be the best version that they can be, and and they're only not being that because of circumstance and whatever experience they've had thrown at them, which really they, you know, they made that deal with their soul that they were going to have this life. So it's like, what lessons do they have to learn within this? What is it that is meant to be learned by extreme tragedy or something, you know? So I don't think that I would look at it like that.
Right.
I don't think I would. I think people, you know, I don't know, probably a very superficial thing to say, but I think drugs and alcohol people use to escape. Right. I think when people come for the records and for readings, it's because they want to develop, they want to move forward, they want an understanding, they want to grow, they want an awareness.
Okay, I understand. Interesting. Well, it's a different approach there, because now it's the society is changing. We're having a lot of people going to the Amazon jungle to try the ayahuasca, you know, all the other, you know, things that some of the civilizations have been using for, you know, hundreds and, you know, millions of years, millions or maybe thousands of years. Let me go with thousands. I think it's easier. Because
I think people are understanding that there are other dimensions and there's a different way of tapping into it. So they're wanting to experience what that is, and to find ways of connecting to it.
It's phenomenal. Because when you look at the example, the ayahuasca, which is completely separate to what you're saying, but just to try to bring some connection, you know, when you fly from Sao Paulo to Miami, it's about 9 hours. 5 of them, you fly over the Amazon jungle, which is a massive green carpet. It's just one little piece, by the way, you know, it's just a corner.
Yeah.
So for someone to say, right, you mix this leaf with that vine, and all of a sudden when you boil it, you're going to drink this, by the way, and it's going to take you to another plant. I mean, how would a normal guy, normal bloke that lives, you know, hunting little animals to eat and, you know, eating roots from the ground, how would this person get to that understanding? Is beyond that. So that means that would take us to another level where it's nothing physical. It's something that has been, you know, perhaps passed on, as I said, via, you know, forefathers or masters or mentors or whatever you call it.
No, you're right.
And it's phenomenal. It's a fantastic subject, stuff that I'm sure people who are probably watching this are going to enjoy searching more for this and trying to learn more and more and understand more. But we've been talking this for almost an hour now. It's amazing. You know, I was scared in the beginning, thinking I wouldn't have enough questions for you, but I didn't actually need the questions because you gave us all the explanations there, which was very good.
I can probably talk for hours about it.
I know. This is fascinating stuff. It's really fascinating. What I want to ask is, if anyone here would like to ask a question, except Maxine, of course. Maxine, next life, you're going to be the instructor and I'll be the student, okay? And I'll be the one, the white belt that never grades, and we'll be asking 1,000 questions all the time, just to pay you back, by the way. But anyway, anyone else would you like to ask a question? Here's the time. Eduardo is saying that, oh, you already answered the question. Oh yeah, he's asking here, but where can I learn it? Where can he actually find out more about it? So he joined us mid-call, so he's a bit lost. So you have your website?
Yeah, I have, my website is annaakashichealing.com.
Yeah, I'll put this on the WhatsApp group. And someone asked if you are Mido's wife. No, she's not Mido's wife. Mido is her husband, by the way, yeah? It's the other way around now. Let's pay back.
Thank you, Joe.
He's gonna love me for that. He's gonna probably punch me in the face again when we're training, but that's okay. I'll deal with it. And okay, so yeah, you have a website. People can find out more information about all the whole thing.
Absolutely, and my number and my email is on my website. So if you want to, I'm happy to talk to you if you want to call. Yeah. If anyone wants a reading, I'm doing like discounted prices at the moment because of quarantine and people not working and stuff. So absolutely. So just call me or email me and we can I can answer any more questions. Yeah.
And if you listening and watching this, you know, didn't want to ask the question because you're shy, that's okay. I'm also shy, as you probably noticed. And but you can contact Anna directly, and then eventually, of course, you know, have a little conversation, ask a few more questions, and learn a little bit more about it. But of course, now as we turn this thing off, you're going to go and search for it, watch a few videos, read a little bit more, and then eventually this will make way more sense to everybody there. So Anna, thanks for the time. I appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you, Joe.
We are going to put this thing on our group now for the rest of the people that didn't have the chance to watch it, and I'm sure we're going to have more people contacting you there.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. I hope you had fun. We'll see you later with the classes. Anna, thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.